The next area that I'm going to look at is how to make a quiz. So we'll go again to the same course, and we're going to set up a quiz in exactly the same way. Again, there's two ways to set up a quiz. One is through going over to the quizzes here, and the other is the way that we've been working through, which is the edit course option over here. And course builder. Okay, so to add a quiz, what I'm going to do is select the quiz icon. There we go, there it is. Drop it into the area that I want to add the quiz. And this is called the Attitudes quiz. You might want to discuss with your faculty how often you'd like to do a quiz. Is it worth doing quizzes after each class, the last 5 minutes of class? Is it worth doing one a week as a revision? Maybe your standard homework, or maybe once a month as part of the revision for the end of the unit. So once I've got my quiz, again, when we look at grading, we might want to make that a graded item. And we'll create that quiz. Okay, so we want to edit this quiz. This sign here means that at the moment it is inactive, so no one can access this quiz at the moment, which is fine because I haven't edited it yet and I'm not comfortable with people using it yet. So we'll go to Manage Quiz up here, and this brings me to the quiz page, which has a lot of different bits of information. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do in terms of making my quiz is to make the questions. So the part that I'm going to be interested in, I'm going to go to Layout Questions to add some questions, add Edit Questions, and here I go. So the first thing it's going to ask me for this quiz what types of questions I want to add, and I might want to add a variety. So I select from this drop-down menu Question or Section, and I select what type of questions I'd like to give. So for example, I could start off with true or false, multiple choice questions, multiple select questions, long answer, short answer, fill in the blanks, ordering, etc. There's a whole lot of different options there. I'm going to start with just simply true or false to show you how this one works. Now for each type of question, there's certain rules. We'll add some other types as well, so that we know exactly how to work through this area. But the more practice you get at the different types of questions, the easier using quizzes will be. So the question that I'm going to do, this question is worth only 1 mark. Okay. Difficulty, it's up to you whether you use this. It's just asking it to rank in terms of difficulty so the students know. The question text is the actual question that you are going to ask. So a question for true or false that might be relevant to me in psychology is one way an attitude is formed is through classical conditioning. Remember, there's all these options for things that you can do. Check spelling, you can bold certain words if you like, you could have a number, you could add a link, you could insert an image that might be relevant, or even if you go to the advanced page, you could paste from a Word document. If you already have a quiz into here, you would just line up each question and go through and paste that in. So there's a lot of options. This one's probably the most useful if you have a quiz already made. Okay, so then I just go down to this section. So my answer is true. So if they answer true, they will get 100% for this item. So this is saying the weight or how much that question is worth 100% if they answer true. Now I might want to say, give the right feedback in here, so I might again want to say something like classical conditioning is a form of is one way an attitude can be formed. Up to you whether you put this in. Takes a little bit longer, but obviously it provides feedback for the students. The other thing you can do is you can add a question hint by just clicking on that, and you could say, so a hint might be 2 types of conditioning can create an attitude, which maybe will help my students. Okay, if I'm happy with that and want to create another true and false question, I go save and new. If I want to copy it to the second question, I can do save and copy. I can just save, or I can preview the question like so. It says when taking the question, it will appear as this, and they will have these two options, and this will be the correct option. Okay, so I am happy with that, and I'm not going to create another true and false question, so I'm just going to save. Okay, from this page, which will have all my questions when my test is done, I can delete particular questions that might be relevant. I can put them in a different order, and I can change the values quite quickly. I can see the attempts, which we'll look at later once we've have a go at some of these questions. But let's create a new multiple choice question. So I scroll down to multiple choice and click create new. So my multiple choice question will be the tri-component model is made up of which of the following components? And that's my question. These are my 4 options. So this one's going to be one option for multiple choice. And that's actually my correct one, so I make that one worth 100%. And we'll do all of the above for part D. Alright, and when I am done, I am going to click save. So that's a multiple choice question. You can obviously go through each one of these. Are going to be relevant for different sorts of subjects, so I'm not going to have a chance to go through all of these, but you can certainly do that. And once you're done with your quiz, you can just go back to quiz layout questions. Okay, the other thing that I might want to do with my 2-question quiz here is I might want to look at change the number of attempts they can make. So if I click on this option here, attempts, I might say that only 1 attempt is allowed, but I can also make it unlimited, or I can say 3 attempts or something like that, and click save when I'm done. Now, if I'd like, my overall grade calculation will be the highest attempt, but I can do the average or something like that as well, or the lowest attempt if I wish to as well. I might say that you can only attempt a second time if you achieve less than, say, 50%, and then you get a second chance. Or you could say only if you achieve over 75% can you reset and try and get a higher mark. So there's some options there and some flexibility there for teachers as well. So once I've decided on that, I can click Save Quiz. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to simply click Preview. Now what this does, this preview button is a quick way of seeing what the students see without you worrying about having to go back to the course homepage and doing the whole role switch. So I'm going to click on, I've clicked on the preview, and this is exactly what the students will see. Your quiz may take a few minutes. It's sort of instructions, and then I'm going to click Start Quiz. Okay, so as a student, this is what I'll see, and basically here are my options for the quiz. I must click my option for my answer and then click Save for each response. And there's 2 ways students can make sure that they've saved. First, they can see a little blue save item, and over here on page 1 you'll see question 1 there's a save item, and question 2 there's a save item. If I click Submit Quiz Now, it will give me a warning that there is an unanswered question. So I want to go back to question 2, and I need to pick, so I'm going to pick, I will pick a wrong one to see what that looks like, and then I click Save. Or if I'm happy as a student, I can go through all of these and click Save All Responses at the end. Okay, and now I'm going to submit the quiz. And it gives me lots of warnings saying, you know, if you submit this quiz, this is your last option. So you follow that through, And now I've submitted the quiz. Actually, straight away as a student, I get feedback. Right now, attempt score, I've found out that I've got 1 out of 2 or 50% for this test. And so obviously, I can go, I've also been told when I've done that, and as a teacher, we'll have access to this as well. I'll show you how to have access to this in a second. But as a student, I get to see all of this straight away. So I'm going to exit the preview. Okay, so just before we move on to looking at what my results were and how I can find that as a teacher, I need to make sure that my quiz has become active before that will occur. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Attitudes Quiz. I'm going to make it active by clicking on Restrictions, Status, Active. Again, I can change the start date and change the restrictions or availability to the students, but I just want to make it active now. So once I've changed that to active, I can take a look at some of the reports of how my class has gone. So obviously so far it's only been me that's done this quiz, which means that my reports aren't going to be too great. But we can look at stats, and you are going to see that the number of users between 0 and 100%, 100% of them have got 50% for this test because I'm the only user. The other thing that it can actually do is it will show me individually what Emma Phillips, a student, has gotten on this test. So obviously I can see that I have achieved 50%. So this is a really, really great one because we'll also find out the class average, and then you can see the distribution there. Obviously they haven't calculated that because it's only been me that's done it. Other things you can look at are question stats. You can find out that by looking at what Emma's done here, and then you have the actual question details, which really gives you the details about what the correct answer was and where the students answered. It's almost like a VCE examiner's report, I guess. And so that's basically how you view information about a quiz once you've got it set up. And this is really, 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 really useful information for best practices when you're trying to improve, I guess, your teaching, but also your students' results under testing conditions. One last thing to show you is the grade, where you can also see individual students' attempt results, and to put that as a graded result later when we do gradebook, you need to select which one is going to be the graded result. If you ever need to see what quizzes that you've set up, say you've got a number going, you can just click on quizzes on the navigation bar and all your quizzes will line up here, and you can do a quick link to the statistics, the reports and the grades, as well as previewing that quiz as well.